Let's get it on. What? Haha. Yeah, it's not a pros before bros video unless you hear me saying just one time. All right, this is Hope again from Pros Before Bros after a fabulous introduction, introducing you to the Pimp My Books bookcase. I was going to say booktube. That's clearly not right. Pimp My Bookcase. I finally got lights for my bookcase so my blind butt can actually see the books that I have on display because you won't believe how bad my eyesight is. And here I am making a video without glasses. Okay, we're just going to jump right into this. So, now I promised you guys a video on Wednesday. Things got a little bit crazy this week. I didn't get a chance to actually make that video. But yeah, I figured I would go ahead and do that today. Or tonight. Tonight sounds about right. It is raining cats and dogs here in Cincinnati. So you might hear a little bit of water hitting my house. It's been raining all day and it is annoying me because I can't get half the stuff I need done. But we'll go ahead and take that. But anyhow, I did want to go ahead and talk about a book that I didn't just finish it. I finished it almost a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And I wanted to do a review on it so badly, you guys, because it's such a good book. But the book that I'm going to be talking about is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World. And it is by Ashley Herring Blake. And if you guys love cover porn just as much as I do, look at this beautiful cover. And when I say cover porn, I'm literally excluding anything with porn. I'm not that kind of person anyhow. All right. Yep. So, this book is actually a middle grade book, so it's geared towards preteens essentially. But I decided to pick it up not only because of the gorgeous cover. I've heard a lot of good talk about it. Wonderful talk about how it is very diverse, and it just seems like it's the perfect book for a preteen to read. And I wanted to take a look at it myself to kind of get my opinion on it, of course, and see, where I fell on that spectrum. And guys, I have to say, I absolutely adored this book. And I really wish that there was a book like this when I was 12 or 13 years old. I feel like it would have done me and probably a bunch of my friends a world of good if we had such a book. And yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about it. So Ivy Aberdeen is obviously our main character of the book. She is 12 years old at the very beginning of this book. And then she has a birthday towards the end, so then she becomes 13. So Ivy is a 12-year-old. She has a beautiful family, her mother and father, and she also has her sister and two twin brothers who are in their infancy. I believe they're only 6 months old, if that, really. And she's just trying to find her place in the world. And this book opens up in her bedroom. So she's in her bedroom. It's the early morning hours, and she is bent over her notebook and doing what she does best. She loves to draw. So she's drawing, and she's just kind of enjoying her life. She's enjoying her adolescence. But she's having some struggles, some internal struggles. And this book is that journey of that struggle. So she's drawing inside her notebook, and she calls her notebook a hope chest. If you guys are familiar with a hope chest, and if you're not, it's really pretty straightforward. Back in the 1800s or 1700s, a girl would get what is called a hope chest, and basically her family set it aside for when she would be married off to somebody. So the hope chest would typically hold things that she would take into her next phase of life of marriage. So a wedding ring, not wedding ring, a wedding dress, things of that nature, things that hold relevance to what a married life would be. So um, Ivy loves that imagery, so to speak. She loves to have that kind of thought in the back of her head, but she modernizes it by doing what she calls her hope chest slash notebook, or her diary, if you will. In this hope chest, she draws out everything that she hopes to be. So she hopes to be strong, she hopes to be confident. And then she also has a lot of drawings that she is drawn out, just herself, how she perceives herself. And she's also a companion to another female. Um, this female inside the book, you don't really get an impression that it's somebody that she's drawing off of, that she is an acquaintance with. It's somebody that I believe she has made up in her mind of the ideal companion. Black hair, quirky and dress, as you could tell at the very beginning of this book. Well, the cover of the book, you see that she's kind of quirky, kind of eccentric, and they're holding hands a lot throughout the the pictures that she draws. And for her, it's so conflicting because it's not like holding the hand of your friend. She sees this as holding the hand of someone you love, someone that you want to spend the rest of your life with, have a relationship with. And that is so conflicting to her because it's not the norm, right? The norm is that you are boy crazy when you're 12 or 13 years old. And that's how her best friend Taryn is. So she's struggling with this because she doesn't really have that kind of attraction to boys. And she thinks that there's something wrong with that. She thinks there's something wrong with her. And inside this book, you take this journey with her to find who she truly is. So at the very beginning of the book, like I said, she's drawing in her notebook. Her life changes in an instant because her father comes flying into the bedroom during this big thunderstorm and says, "We have to take cover. There's a tornado coming right at us." From that point on, everything changes for her. So her father takes their family into a root cellar at their home, and after the tornado passes, or after the storm passes, they come out, they see that their whole lives are gone. The home that her father, his family had owned for hundreds of years, is completely gone. There's nothing left. And she has to grapple with that, along with these internalized feelings of how she feels about girls on top of everything else. And it's a very difficult situation for a girl to have to go through. And it turns out that she meets a friend because of all of this, and that friend actually helps her process how she's feeling about girls. She's actually becomes her first crush. I don't want to go into too much detail about the book because I feel like I don't want to spoil anything for you guys if you do choose to read it, but I do want to recommend that you read it because it is a very beautiful, very touching story. And like I said, I really wish we had these kind of books when I was at Ivy's age, 12, 13 years old, when things are so conflicting, and just so confusing for anybody out there. And yeah, it's such a good book, you guys. I like it a lot. One thing that I think, some cons that I have with the book, obviously, is you're always going to have a con with a book, even the 5-star books, in my opinion. I feel like the writer, or maybe the publisher, kind of fell down in some creative aspect. This book is a chapter book, obviously, but since it has the story of the notebook that she writes about, because the whole story in itself always seems to trace back to this notebook that she had during that horrible storm. I feel like they should have done some creative things with that, maybe excerpts of the pictures that she drew, just to kind of give you a generalized idea. And that personal touch that you always look for in a book. I think that would have been amazing, but then again, I'm not the writer, so I can't really determine if that was the best approach or not. I just think that would have been a great opportunity there. And the second part is there is a character that Ivy becomes very close to. Her name is June, and she has such a presence inside this book. And I feel like at the end, that presence was kind of rushed and not resolved that much. I wish there was more resolution between that. And I don't want to go into too much detail about that either without spoiling the book. So I'll just say that part right there. But other than that, this is such a great book. Like I said, I would give it about 3.75 if I had to, out of 5 stars. And it's just because of those creative pieces that I wish one, they had a little more resolution between those two characters, Ivy and June, and also just a little tiny bit more creativity in there. If they could have taken a couple notebook excerpts, if you will, and actually put it inside the book, I think that would have really rounded out the book perfectly. But it's not a horrible book. It's a great book that just has a couple flaws like that. And I don't want to even say those are flaws. I just think those were missed opportunities there. But yeah, this is definitely a great book. I believe I got my copy off of Amazon. But obviously, I'm sure other places are going to be carrying copies of this, like Barnes & Noble or anything like that. But definitely pick it up, especially if you have a preteen in your life that you feel could benefit from this book. Like I said, it's very diverse. And it talks about so many different issues when you're a teenager. If you remember that stage of being 12 or 13 years old, you remember how awkward and confusing everything was for you. But I definitely think this is a great book. If I could, I would probably hand it off to every kid that I possibly know. That way they could have somebody to connect to. Again, that is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. I'm going to go ahead and show the book one more time. That way you see all the pretty on it. And yeah, definitely take a look at it. Other than that, I'm going to be filming my next 2 videos, which one's going to be a book haul, and then the second one is going to be a TBR and also an intro to the Contemporary-thon. So I hope that you enjoyed this particular video and hope you enjoyed the next 2 videos. I got some Mountain Dew, so I'm all ready to go here. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Bye.